Welcome to Module 1. For installation and setup. I'm thrilled to have you here, and I'm your instructor. The NetQuest 1. Installation and setup refer to the process of preparing a development environment for a specific software or framework. In the context of web development, this typically involves installing the necessary tools, libraries, and dependencies, and configuring your system to start working on a project. Here's a general explanation of the installation and setup process. Installation. 1. Prerequisites. Before you begin, make sure you understand the prerequisites for the software or framework you're working with. This could include knowledge of programming languages, tools, or libraries. 2. Download software. Start by downloading the software or framework you intend to work with. This can involve visiting the official website or using a package manager like npm, pip, or Composer to download and install the software. 3. Install dependencies. Many software packages have dependencies, which are other pieces of software or libraries that are required for the main software to function. You'll need to install these dependencies if they are not included with the software. 4. Configure settings. Depending on the software or framework, you might need to configure settings. This can include specifying file paths, database connections, environment variables, and more. This is often done by editing configuration files. 5. Integration. If the software or framework needs to work with other tools or services, e.g., databases, web servers, apps, you need to set up those integrations. This often involves providing connection details, credentials, and access rights. Setup. 6. Project structure. Organize your project files and folders. This can vary depending on the software or framework, but often involves creating directories for source code, assets, images, styles, scripts, configuration files, and other project-specific files. 7. Version control. Consider using version control software like Git to track changes to your project's source code. This helps with collaboration, code management, and rollbacks in case of errors. 8. IDE text editor. Choose an integrated development environment IDE, or a code editor suitable for the programming language you're working with. Configure it to your preferences and install any necessary plugins or extensions. 9. Package managers. If the software or framework relies on external packages or libraries, use a package manager, e.g., npm, Composer, pip to install these packages. This ensures that your project has access to the required dependencies. 10. Local development server. Set up a local development server or environment to run and test your application. This could involve configuring a web server, database server, and other services needed for your project. 11. Build tools. If you're working on a complex project, you might need build tools, e.g., Webpack, Gulp to automate tasks such as compiling, minifying, and bundling your code. Configure these tools to streamline your development workflow. 12. Environment variables. Configure environment variables to store sensitive information like API keys, database credentials, and other secret data. This helps keep your sensitive information secure. 13. Testing and debugging. Set up tools and libraries for testing and debugging your code. This includes installing testing frameworks and debugging extensions for your chosen IDE. 14. Documentation. Create documentation for your project, including read files, code comments, and user guides if applicable. Good documentation makes your project more accessible to others and helps with future maintenance. 15. Version control initialization. If you're using version control, initialize your project as a Git repository and make your initial commit to start tracking your project's changes. The specific steps for installation and setup can vary widely depending on the software or framework you're working with. Always refer to the official documentation or guides provided by the software's developers for precise instructions on how to set up your development environment.